In this video, we're going to talk about how to reduce waste on a construction site. And you're going to see with new eyes, there's waste all around us. It's everywhere. So in this video, we're going to leave you with a sure way to remember the 8 wastes in construction. And there's 2 other major types of waste that we never talk about that you're going to learn in this video today. And there's 4 key methods for being able to see that waste so that you can eliminate it. All right, so let's get right into this video and let's get started. Now, I learned these wastes from Japanese words, muda, muri, mura. But I'm going to give you the English words and we're just going to get started. Okay, so when we're talking about waste in construction, what I'm talking about are things that are non-value add, things that are wasting our time that shouldn't be done at all. There's 8 of them in construction that we're going to discuss. The other one is unevenness. Unevenness is when there's not a flow to the work. It's when there's starts and stops to the work and not a natural progression from area to area to area in one process flow. And the third one is overburdened. What that means is that your trades are overburdened and they do not have the capacity to do the work that we're asking them to do. So number 1 is waste. Number 2 is unevenness, also a form of waste. Number 3, overburden. So we need to just get rid of this one. It just needs to go, like gone. Number 2, unevenness, we need to reduce that so that it flows. So we need to balance that out and level it. And overburden, we need to space that out, reduce the load on teams so that they can perform exactly how we want. So that needs to be reduced. All 3 need to be managed in lean construction for us to be as productive as you and I want to be. All right, so let's talk about the first one, waste. There are many different ways to remember this, but I'm going to go with the Paul Akers method, which is that we naturally look at how waste develops. We're not going to use the tool downtime to spell out the exact types of waste so that we can remember it. We're going to remember it as waste is created, like Paul Akers said. So the first thing that always happens to create waste is that we overproduce. That means we produce something before it's needed. Then we have excess inventory, then we have too much of a product, or in construction we've produced it and it gets damaged. So the first thing in waste is that we overproduce. That always causes number 2, excess inventory. Excess inventory means we have too much of something. Now we have to go catalog it, we have to maintain it, we have to move it, and it causes waste and burns through cash, meaning it wastes your money. So I like to look at it as those are the mother and father or the parents of all the other types of waste. When you have a mom and a dad, they love each other very much. They make little waste babies. And so it always starts with overproduction and excess inventory. Once you have that, and I'm going to use the same method Paul Akers does, and you can reference this in some of his videos or in his book 2 Second Lean, I will tell you that the next thing that happens once you have excess inventory is that you have defects, meaning that your excess inventory of materials or supply or product, it's getting damaged primarily because it's being moved. So that's another waste. That's waste number 4 is motion. Waste number 5 is transportation. And usually those defects are happening because of that motion and that transportation, because we have to move that inventory back and forth and it creates wasted time. And so as we have defects, number 3, we have motion, number 4, we have transportation, which is number 5, we have over-processing, meaning we are over-processing these things and taking too much time to complete these tasks, which is a waste of time, which creates waiting, which is number 7. Meaning that while we're doing this over-processing, while we're moving things around, and while we're transporting things, and while we're fixing defects, we are waiting. We either have workers waiting on work or work waiting on workers. And this is all a waste, number 8, because we could have used the genius of the team to really do things just in time as we needed in a continuous flow, and we never would have had to overproduce and we never would have had excess inventory. So one more time, overproduction, excess inventory, defects, motion, transportation, over-processing, waiting, and not using the genius of the team are the 8 wastes. And if you memorize those in that order, you'll start to see with new eyes, and you'll see that there's waste everywhere. And we need to take steps to reduce it, to eliminate it, or like Paul Aker says, let it bug you once you can see it, and take 2-second opportunities or make 2-second improvements every day to eliminate that waste and improve your working environment. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest wastes would be not subscribing to this channel. I mean, we put so much time and energy into these, and they're for you, for your career, to benefit you, to bless you. So like and subscribe, help me with this channel, and we'll have so much more content to come. Let's make sure we're getting rid of that colossal waste. The next one I want to talk to you about is unevenness. So whereas waste, like the 8 wastes, we just need to get rid of that. Unevenness deals with things that should be done, but they need to be done in a flow, in an even manner. So we don't want, and I want you to really pay attention to this, stops and restarts. We want continuous work. We want leveled work, meaning it's not going up and down, it's leveled work. Now, unevenness will show up in the following ways. Having to stop to fix things because of defective work. Roadblocks in the way that weren't seen and removed before they affected work. Delayed work. Production loss, which slows one area of the project down because they're not at full productivity. Unleveled zones, which means that each zone does not have an equal amount of work, so then when you hit one of them, it slows you down or stops you and creates that unevenness. Unleveled crews, which means as your crews are working through the project, one takes an incredible amount of time. They're good people, but it takes an incredible amount of time, and so the project only goes as fast as that slowest trade, which means we need to break that up, level that, and get them all going the same speed to reduce slowdowns, stops, and restarts. And then any bottleneck in general on your project site, which slows you down. And so those are the typical things that you will see when you see unevenness. When you see them, dive in, work with the trade partner, work with the foreman, and really get a plan to create a leveled, flowable environment. Okay, number 3, this is when your trades are overburdened, or your team is overburdened, or anyone for that matter, your vendors. Meaning there's more work to do than that trade has the capacity to do, or it's too heavy for that equipment to lift, whatever the case may be, or there's too many hours for the project manager to actually work in a week without having him or her ruin his or her family, right? It means the resource is overburdened. You'll typically see this when you see workers being pushed, workers going too fast, crews working too much overtime, crews having too many areas to work in, too much context switching because crews are being asked to work and go all over the place, when zones have too much work for the amount of time that they're given for the trade partner, having crews where there's not enough people for the task, fatigue from excessive working conditions, people being asked to do things they're not trained for and don't have the capacity for, having a lack of resources or tools or equipment for the people themselves, or the work is just too complex. And finally, if the crews are working without breaks, which should never happen, and crews are working without buffers within their activities, which should also never happen. And so those are the 3: waste, unevenness, and overburden. We need to be like really looking through the lenses to find those types of waste and get rid of them, even them, and reduce them, just like we showed you on the board. The key here is that you need to see it and fix it. I'll close this video out by showing you how you can do that. First, look ahead planning. If you are looking ahead and planning work, you can see if there's an even flow. You can see if the amount of work is appropriate for that crew. And you can also help eliminate those 8 wastes by doing proper planning. Number 2, have a consistent huddle system like I've talked to you about in other videos. That means your afternoon crew leader huddle and your morning worker huddle. Planning and preparing work and getting real-time feedback from the crews to see if you have waste, unevenness, or overburden, so that you can see as a group, know as a group, and act as a group and fix it right then and there. Number 3, do a reflection after the work. When crews are going from zone to zone to zone, it shouldn't be complete the zone and then immediately go. Complete the zone, do a reflection, see if there was any waste, unevenness, or overburden, and then make corrections, and then go do the second zone. And number 4, if you have zones on your project and you're working on attack time, or you have really good durations with good collaboration with your trades, watch the progress of that crew within the zone, and if they're not meeting their deadline or producing on schedule, then look for the waste, look for the unevenness, and look for the overburden, and take steps to fix it. And so I want you to be able to really see these things and know them. We've included a blog post in the description below that you have to have. You're gonna want this. We have descriptions, we have the bullet list, and we have pictures to help you so that you can go be one of those Navy SEAL ninja construction managers that can really see with a different set of eyes and take action to create flow in the field. You've got to have this. I want to see it printed up in every office all across the nation. You know what? All across the world, so that you can go really have the kind of effectiveness and workflow that you deserve, which ultimately ends up in projects finishing on time and you going home to your family. So check that out now in the description below. I hope you've enjoyed this. On we go.